Welcome back. Anyone who has ever put up hay will tell you the best way to make it rain is to cut down your hay crop. We joke, but rain and moisture really can cause a significant decrease in hay quality. Cattleman to Cattleman reporter Matt Fleck takes us to Tennessee for a look at equipment that will help hay retain feed value in spite of precipitation.
One of the biggest challenges during hay season is the volatility of the weather, and there is no way to predict what Mother Nature has in store. That means not only the loss of precious time, but of hay nutrients as well.
Of course, weather here can knock us back a day, a week, a lot of time in harvesting hay. We can have alfalfa hay. Bermuda hay can lose from 19% down to 9% protein just from delays in harvest. Timothy hay can lose from 11% down to 5%. We just want to be sure and get it dry and not moldy, and have something good for these quality cattle we have here.
Hay quality is probably the number one issue, because when it does get in the cold weather and you don't have any pasture, the protein in the hay is really the only supplement they're getting, other than what little feed we feed and the mineral supplement we keep out for the cattle.
To Brad Thompson, putting up good quality feed with limited time is essential to their family operation. He felt a hay tedder from New Holland could help them stay ahead of the weather and make better use of their limited time.
Just for the interview.
The biggest thing we have now is, back from the earlier days, is the tedder. And we really use the tedder whenever we cut the hay. We'll let it get so many hours of sunlight, maybe a day, and the next day we'll come in and tedder it. You can go in with a tedder it up, rake it one time, versus where in the older days, you would have to use a roll bar rake, and it would probably take you 3 days to get it up, versus you can cut down probably a day and a half now with a tedder.
So a tedder is a tool that's used essentially to lift and separate the clumps of hay, and what you achieve by running a tedder in your operation is a shorter dry down period. So customers who are in more challenging weather conditions, maybe there's a shorter time span of dry weather. They might have mowed it thinking there was 5 or 6 days of dry weather. That forecast has changed now. Then it's only 3 days of dry weather. A tedder can be used in the operation to help shorten that dry down window.
It's important to keep in mind that hay tedders aren't just for rainy days. Using them can help speed the dry down process, even in ideal conditions, which will help the hay retain more of its feed value.
You know, to a lot of the farmers around here, a tedder is a tool that if hay gets wet, we're going to dry it with a tedder. We try to educate them on the benefits of the fast dry down. The benefits that you're going to get from the time you cut your hay till you get it down. We like to say get it down to 40% for dry hay, then how much more we're going to utilize out of that hay. So we try to approach the tedder from that as opposed to a tool that sits in the fence row until it rains and then you get it out.
I would consider buying a tedder if you're looking to make quality hay more consistently, to help you reduce the dry down time it takes for that crop to get to a baleable moisture content. The shorter the time you can get that crop down to less than 60% moisture content, the less nutrients, the less nutritional value it's going to lose in getting down to that less than 60% moisture content level as it goes through the respiration process. So you'll preserve more nutrients in that hay crop, making it more valuable as a feedstock to your animals.
Regardless of the weather, being aware of the hay's moisture content is critical in determining when to tedder your hay.
Hay that's really thick, probably need to be careful about legume hays of tedding when it's less than 20% moisture. We can really do a lot of damage. Mostly we've got grass hays here, Bermudas, fescue, Timothy, and they're more forgiving, but especially if you've got some legume in there, you need to be a little careful with the tedders.
A general rule of thumb when you're tedding hay is a legume type crop, such as an alfalfa, if you can ted that crop above 60% moisture, and grass hays above 40% moisture, you're going to have less loss, less mechanical loss, less shatter. So tedding above that moisture range is very, very important to crop quality and preserving a good product that's going to make good feed for your animals.
As with any piece of equipment, having the tedder set properly is key to getting the most from your hay crop.
Time clearance is pretty critical when you're operating a tedder. Ultimately, you don't really want to be contacting the ground with the tedder tines. If you contact the ground, you're going to have stubble damage. There's going to be additional ash that's incorporated into that hay crop. However, you don't want to be too high either so that you're missing crop or leaving crop behind. So having a tine clearance roughly in that just slightly above the earth to maybe 3/4 of an inch to an inch, depending upon crop conditions, field conditions, and your stubble height that you've mowed at, is very critical in terms of performance in that tedder and your ultimate dry down of that crop after you've run the tedder through the field. Then also another easy adjustment to make for any tedder is ground speed. I think a lot of people think when you run a tedder, the faster you go, the better you are, and that's not necessarily true in all cases. Sometimes if you'll slow down your ground speed, you'll do a better, more effective job at more uniformly spreading that crop behind you.
Choosing the right size tedder is important, and a local New Holland dealer can assist with making that determination.
There's quite a range of sizes to accommodate everybody from a hobby farmer up to a large commercial scale producer. Sizes ranging anywhere from roughly 8 or 9 feet all the way up to 50+ feet. So there's a wide selection of tedders available to fit everybody's operation, whether it's a smaller producer or a larger producer.
Equipment dealers can provide more than just sales advice. They also work hard to keep their customers up and running and help navigate the challenges of hay production.
One thing I want to say about the local dealer is their service. Their service is second to none, and we've used a bunch of dealers, and that's the reason we went with the New Holland was the local dealer.
Probably the main tip that I would give a customer going into hay season would be just be aware of what's happening today, not what happened yesterday or not what we did last year. Let's take one day at a time. Let's look at our crop. Let's cut it when it needs cut, not when we can get to it. Let's bale it when it needs baled, not when we can get to it to bale. But let's just be aware of what's happening on your specific farm and what your needs are, and try to make it, because if you make those deadlines, then in the end, your cattle are going to flourish from them.
Reporting from Middle Tennessee, I'm Matt Fleck for NCBA's Cattlemen to Cattlemen.
If you'd like to learn more about New Holland hay tedders and how they can improve your haying operation, visit the website newholland.com.